Hi, and welcome to this video of Dynamics 365 Talk, where I'll be talking about premium forecasting in Dynamics 365. Now, this is additional forecasting functionality that is included with Sales Insights. But before we get started, let me introduce myself. My name is Dion Taylor. I am a Microsoft Business Applications MVP. Feel free to check out my blog at D365goddess.com or follow me on Twitter at D365goddess or just connect with me on LinkedIn by scanning the QR code. Now, I already mentioned that you need to have a Sales Insights license to be able to access this. And the features that I'm going to be showing you guys today is the predictive forecasting, the trend chart that comes with that predictive forecasting, the snapshots, and the flow chart. Now, there's a couple of things that you want to keep in mind before you can start using predictive forecasting. So for the predictions to be as accurate as possible, you'll need to have a minimum of 200 opportunities and a minimum of 2 years worth of closed opportunities in your environment. And that's what it says on the Microsoft page. And you can also kind of use this hand in hand with the opportunity scoring that's also available with Sales Insights, which again, also you need to have a minimum of a number of opportunities in there as well. Now, the other thing you need to keep in mind is you want to make sure that the forecast categories are in sync with the opportunity status. So for example, if you have a forecast category field that equals 1, then you want to make sure that the opportunity status also shows as 1. And of course, same thing with lost opportunities, right? If the forecast status is lost, you want to make sure that the actual opportunity status is lost as well. Now, if you're actually using the out-of-the-box, that category option set or forecasting category option set, I believe it's what it's called, there's actually a workflow that automatically runs to keep those two in sync. And the workflow is actually called Opportunity Forecast Category Mapping Process. So if you're planning to use the out-of-the-box forecast category field, right, that option set, then again, you don't have to do anything to keep both of those in sync. That workflow will handle that. However, if you're using your own category field, then you probably want to configure that workflow, right, to make sure that your categories match the opportunity status. So keep that in mind as well. Now let's just go ahead and dive in there. So I've already set up my forecast category, so I wanted to show you what it looks like, and then I'm going to create a new forecast. So you already see here that I have a prediction column. That's my first column that you see over there. And then what I can do is I can actually drill into that prediction, click on that, and that will load my prediction details trend card. So what you see on here is a couple of different values, right? We see closed 1, and that is the total value of all closed opportunities that are in my forecast time period. Then we have wins from existing deals, and that's the total value of existing opportunities that is also in that forecast time period that are predicted to close. Then we have wins from new deals, and that is a total value of new opportunities, again, in that forecast time period that are predicted to close. So we don't have any of those opportunities yet in the system, but this is what the system is predicting. And then obviously the total prediction is that total predicted amount of the current forecast period. So everything closed 1, wins from existing deals, and wins from new deals, all of that combined. And obviously I can also hover my mouse over that to kind of see that total information. You kind of see that it's rounding up the totals here. Now we also have here some trending that is available as well. And you can see here the trend analysis. So this trend chart is really showing you how those opportunities in each of those categories are doing over time. And you can see that it also shows a total amount. If I actually go and hover my mouse over this, it's showing me, right, those the total amounts here. And then as you can see, this dotted line is giving me that prediction, right, over time again, right? It's showing me March 27th, 830 and change, etc. So this is kind of how I can look at that. Now, again, currently we're looking at the trend analysis for that entire group, right? But I can also just go ahead and let me just go to somebody under David. So Teresa testing. So I can also view this data per individual. And then as you can see on the bottom, you can see, so let's say I don't want to see any of the omitted. I can just click on that, or the best case, right? I can click on that and we're kind of like removing them from this trend analysis chart. Now, I just turned this on yesterday, so you can see that there is not a lot of information just yet. But if I click on this again, I just bring it right back. And then here, you can obviously see that quota line on here as well. And it's going to kind of predict where I'm going to be at what particular time. And then we also have a flow chart, and that is not available yet in this particular forecast. So I am going to navigate to one that actually has that flow chart. And the way that that flow chart comes together is, as you can see here, you can take snapshot. And that's really what that is. It's just a moment in time that we're kind of freezing by taking that snapshot, right? And then you can just go ahead and compare that data. Now, I only have two, as you can see. I have one for 316 that I'm now comparing to 321. So what it's showing me here, right, for the entire group is that on the 16th, we had 15 opportunities and 2.52 million total, which we still have on the 21st. But it's kind of showing us also that, hey, there were a bunch of new deals, right, the 2.14 million, and 1.2 went to committed, and some of it went to pipeline. And then we also see what we had in pipeline. Part of that actually went over here to pipeline, right? One opportunity now, as you can see, budget amount 85K. So it went from pipeline to pipeline. So that's still in the pipeline. We just had other stuff from new deals also go into the pipeline. And then again, if we're looking here at committed, we can see here that from new deals, we have some of that data is flowing. 911.21K is going to committed. And we also have here from best case to committed was a total of 287 and change flowing in here. So that's kind of what you can see, what happened, right? Where it was on a particular date and then where it went. So that's kind of what we're showing here by that flow chart. Now, if I want to see the underlying records, I can just go ahead and click on that. And let me actually go back here. Let's just go click on these new deals. And now we can see that snapshot, that new deals flow. We can see all of that, right? So you can see you have this snapshot 1 field, who was the owner, and that snapshot 1, well, it didn't exist, so it didn't have an owner. And then who was the owner in snapshot 2, you have the values, etc. So let me actually go ahead and click here on committed. That was one opportunity. That was also one opportunity. So it's just going to be one. So again, let's just go ahead and click on that. And then we can see here that the name of the opportunity was camera opportunity. I can click on that to open that. And then again, the snapshots 1, that owner field was David. And then in this snapshot from 321, it was still David. Here's the values. And then here we can have some of those date fields as well. And then we can kind of see, right, it's went from committed, it stayed in committed. But this is really, if you want to look at that underlying data, especially when you're a manager, this is where you can go ahead and do that and kind of see what's going on and understand the forecasts better based on that flow analysis. Now, let's take a look at actually setting up one of those forecasts. So I'm going to go here to my app settings, and then I'm going to my forecast configuration. And this currently only works with the org chart forecast. So you got to keep that in mind as well. And when I say this only works with that, I'm talking about the predictive forecasting piece. So let's just give it a forecast name. I'm going to say new forecast. And you can actually grab a particular view. There's an out-of-the-box opportunities forecast view that there is no filter in there at all. So you can just go ahead and use that. And then you can just go ahead and you can see here that my hierarchy route is already there. Who is on the top of the hierarchy? So I'm just going to go ahead and pick. I can just go ahead and pick myself. So let's just go ahead and do that. And then you can set up your scheduling, right? Is this going to be quarterly, monthly, and then what is a fiscal year and how many periods, right? So I'm just going to say it's going to be 4 periods. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say next. And here is where you can put security roles on there. And then this is the lookup that is going to identify who the owner of the forecast is at each level. So if I'm going to say user, that will be the owner of each level of that forecast hierarchy. So I'm just going to say all security roles. See, and it says it here too. All users are able to see the fully forecast. I'm going to say next. And this is where we can add that prediction. Right here is that prediction field that we just saw on that forecast. So this is where you can add that. And there's a couple of other places we add some additional stuff as well. So then we're going to add from an option set. I'm going to add my forecast categories, and that's that drop down field on the opportunity. And again, you can also, right, you can create your own forecast category drop down as well, but keep in mind you need to make sure that the forecast category and the opportunity status, they're going to be in sync. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to choose to select it. I'm going to click auto configure. So what we can do now is we can kind of drag these columns and put them on the right place, right? So here's my prediction quota, best case committed. I'm going to move lost all the way to the end. 1 is there. Okay, that's fine. Now the quota, we can't really enter any data into that. We're going to do that by using an Excel spreadsheet and then uploading all of our quotas in here. Now, the other thing that I can do here is I can actually add a column here as well. So let's go ahead and say we're going to add a column. And I'm going to call this remainder. And this is a calculated field. So we have different types of fields. We can have roll-up fields, and that's exactly what that is. It rolls up the totals from, right, those opportunities in this case, and then it's just going to roll up all those totals. Or it can make that a calculated field, which could be this field times 12 or this field minus that field or whatever. And then you can also have a simple one which allows us to upload data again in a spreadsheet, so we can do that as well. Now I'm going to do a calculated field, and I'm going to say my remainder is going to be my quota field minus my 1 field, right? That's what I still have. That's my remaining amount, my remainder. Or remaining amounts to quota. Whatever we want to call it, right? And then I can show this in my trend chart if I wanted to, right over here. And then I can just go ahead and save and close that. Now, let's just go ahead and put my remaining right here next to the quota. So I can, yeah, it's kind of I'm just going to call it remaining. Configure remaining dollars. Save and close. Is that better? Yeah, that's better. Okay, so I can look and configure some of the other ones as well. And again, right, whether or not I wanted, what type of field I want it to be, I'm just going to leave it. You got to make sure that you're looking at the estimated revenue and the close date fields, or if you want to change that, obviously you can do that as well. And then here you can pick and choose whether or not you want to show progress compared to the quota, and if you want to show this particular, right, this value, I should say, this category, if you want to show that in that trend chart or not. So I'm just going to go ahead and click that, and then I'm going to say save and close. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other ones. Okay, so now that we have all of that configured, I'm just going to hit next. And that's basically all that we have to do. Now I can just go ahead and click activate forecast. And this is just going to take a little bit. And while this is activating, this is, remember we talked earlier about being able to set up a simple field. This is where you can actually download that simple data column template, which is Excel, where you can then put your data in there and then upload that. So it's all going to go into that simple data column. This is where you're actually, in a second when this is activated, where you can also download that template for the quota. So we'll talk about that in a second as soon as this is done activating. Now, let me just go back here real quick. One thing I did not mention is that you can actually apply additional filters to the forecast, so that if you wanted to set up a forecast for a particular type of opportunity or whatever, right, that's where you can do that. And we can see here now that the forecast has been successfully activated. So what we can do here now is actually download that simple data column template. That's where we're going to put our quota in. So I'm just going to go ahead and save that. Now there are, as you can see, here we go. There are two different tabs. There is a quota direct, which is basically every single person on that list that could have a quota. And then you have your parent quota, right? So you saw earlier that I had several people reporting to me, and David also had several people reporting to them. So you can set this up however you like, right? But this quota parent, the way I see it, is that that's probably going to be more of like you as a manager. This is going to be your total quota, right? So let's say that everybody is going to have a quota of $250,000. I'm just going to go ahead and say that's going to be the same for every particular quarter. And of course, you can set this up however you want, right? Sometimes maybe some organizations say, hey, quarter one is going to be a lot heavier than quarter two, because maybe it's more of like you're selling more in quarter one, right? So you can obviously do that. You can set that up however you want. Now let's take a look. I want to see, I'm actually going to go to the quota itself, because I want to take a look at that. Go here to, oh, not the quota, the forecast. And here's my new forecast. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people reporting to me, and then myself as well. And then David has 3 people reporting to him, but he also has an individual sales goal as well. So his sales goal is, because we just said everybody was $250,000, so that's 4 times $250,000. So that is $1 million. So I'm going to say his sales goal is, did I do that right? 6 zeros, I believe. Make sure I did that right. So yeah, that's $1 million. So I'm just going to do that for all of those quarters, because again, him as a manager, that all rolls up to him. That's how I'm going to configure that. And then if I look at myself, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then my own goal. So 6 times $250,000. Which is $1,500,000. So let's just upload 1,500,000. So that's going to be my goal. So I'm just going to go ahead and save that, and then I'm going to go back to upload this into, oops, that's not what I wanted to do. I want to go and put that into my new forecast. So let's just drag and drop it right over here, and as you can see, it is updating that data now. And here we go. It has, the processing has succeeded. So I'm just going to click finish. And again, that brings me back to my new forecast. So let's just go back here. So let's take a look at that. Now that we have that data on there as well, let's go back to forecast. And now we see our quota as well, right? Just like we saw earlier. So this is my group goal, 1.5 million. My individual goal is $250,000. And David's group goal, right, with everybody that reports to him, that rolls back up to his individual goal of $250,000 and everybody that reports to him, right? And then you can see already, right, some of these values are already on there because it's looking at some of those opportunities that are in there. Now, for trending, obviously there's nothing here yet because I just set up this particular forecast. And flow, we don't have any snapshots yet. We saw earlier when I went to my sales team forecasting, oh, I didn't even have a snapshot there either. We actually went to David So, and we had 2 snapshots there. Okay, so you're probably wondering, okay, how do I set up my snapshots? Well, we're going to go back here. I already have it open. So we're going to back here to app settings. And then, we're going to go back here to app settings. I thought I had it open, but I guess I didn't. Forecast configurations. Now, if we want to take a snapshot, we just hover our mouse over here, and then here you see add/view snapshots. And then you just click on add snapshot. You just put in a name. I like to put in a date. You don't have to because you can see that the created date is on there. I just like to do dates, snapshot, and then you just click this little button here and then hit create. And you can see that that's now being created. Okay, so let's again go back to my forecast, to David So, and see if that snapshot is there. And here we go. We can now compare 321 with 323. But I can always go back to that 316 that I had here as well. Let's just set the 23rd. We click run. And now we can see our deal analysis between the 16th and the 23rd. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit that like button. Make sure to return next week for yet a new video, and thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.